taking over, that's a promise, not a threat.
Uppercut, season off top, you stop breathing.
We have one more topic, and I will let P introduce us with our final topic of the day.
All right, cool. So we got a poll, because Ring Gang always got polls, and we got the best polls. So,
yes.
So, but you know what it is. So we got another fresh, hot poll out the oven. You know, this one's a dope one because it's something that a lot of people have been talking about for a while. So it's always good to give the people what they want, and we're giving it to you here with, you always want to talk Spence Crawford, because everybody wants to talk about that. Well, when are we getting Errol versus Bud? Sign the contract. Right. That's all y'all want to talk about. So, you know what? We'll give you something to talk about. But instead of asking about the fight, and all that, because everybody wants to just give their opinions for all that, I want to ask, since it's so big to all these people, is Spence versus Crawford the most significant fight at 147 since Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas Hearns? Simple one, yes or no? And
no.
We got 45 votes so far. Keep voting. And 58% said yes.
Wow.
52% said no.
Did he think what was the age restriction on the poll? The fuck?
I voted.
Maybe there is an age restriction.
Oh no! What did you say,
yes, I voted yes, but I did comment that Tito and Oscar was bigger. But I hear niggas saying the Cordy fights, things like that. Nah, none of those are bigger than Spence.
They were
big though.
They're big fights.
They're big. But that was
Tito Oscar's one of them. Hell, Cotto Margarito was just as big. Like, niggas forgot how big. Like,
honestly, Cotto Margarito one was big.
Well, it was super big. Like,
like niggas. Like, I'm not even getting that from Crawford Spence. Actually, like,
that's true. Because Cotto, because number one, I mean, if I think too, Cotto Margarito one. I mean, it was still the belt was still nasty and everything like that. But this is where Margarito was like, everyone was like, okay, Margarito is finally getting a shot at one. The biggest fight, and everyone was looking forward. And then Cotto was just doing Cotto shit as usual. And he was still coming off good fights. Coming off the good fights he's been having at welterweight. So, like I said, the whole build up Mexican. Of course, it was Mexican versus Puerto Rico too. That's another thing. And the fight was a classic. It was an absolute classic. And like Elby said, I don't get that vibe from Spence Crawford now. I mean,
I think Spence Crawford will end up being a good fight. But I don't think it's gonna buzz really like that until the fight week, or maybe 2 weeks, or until they get some promo going, because we don't know how it's gonna go. But
right, and I'm just reading one of the replies from that tweet. Someone says no, and I said no too. But he mentioned Sweet Pea and Chavez, and Sweet Pea and Oscar, which was again huge fights. Oscar Corte, that was a big fight. Oscar Shane. Well, the first fight was at 147. Actually, I don't think that fight was as big as it was real time. I think the fight had played out because Shane won that fight. I don't think
it was a big fight, but it grew bigger the way the fight. It grew bigger after the fight because the fight was a classic and Shane won.
Of how it unfolded,
Yeah, so it's like one of those fights that got bigger in real time.
Yeah. And then
whereas like Tito, Oscar, and Corte, they were big fights leading up to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. They were in and Pernell Oscar too was also pretty damn big too as well.
Yeah, it's a lot. That doesn't show you how much Oscar ran boxing. We're up here like Oscar, like golden boy hoes or some shit. Like
we'll probably have to do a top Oscar Della, because I think most people are kind of confused. They see Oscar today, and Oscar's kind of a degenerate these days. He has a lot of issues going, but Oscar
he get more love on TikTok than damn Twitter.
Yeah, but Oscar has done more for boxing. Oscar legitimately probably ran boxing, and that's why
he was the last true boxing superstar. I know niggas want to say Floyd and Pacquiao, but the reason why I don't give them that distinction is because they never fought the fights that we wanted to see at the time we wanted to see them. They fought good fights, decent fights, but they never gave you that each year super fight feeling that De La Hoya gave you.
Yeah, like De La Hoya was selling pay-per-views during the 90s heavyweight era. Like, he was selling pay-per-views along with Mike Tyson in them. Like, you know, like...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And each year, like that, like, you, and the span of these, he wasn't taking the tune-up type of fights that these niggas was taking. It wasn't no damn squeezing in damn Robert Guerrero or Brandon Rios or... You know, wasn't no shit like that.
Like probably the real. I mean, in terms of tune-up fights, like the only time he really took one up was probably his last one against Steve Forbes. That's probably the closest thing you ever seen to that type. And because that was on Fox, that was on regular TV. And even
the Mayorga fight wasn't a tune-up. That was like a hard showcase. That's a showcase with a punch or something.
Right. Yeah. Steve Forbes was probably the one where it's like, okay, look, I need to look good so I can sell this. So I can sell another pay-per-view type of shit. You know, and you know, Steve Forbes was not what he even used to be at a letterweight. So yeah, like Oscar did a lot for the sport, more than welterweights, especially.
Fernando Vargas, another big fight.
Yeah, like pretty much with Oscar, if you can't name Oscar fights, and either you're not a boxing fan at all, or you're on some, or you can only name the Floyd fight. Like honestly, you need to do your research. Like Oscar was that dude in the 90s and in the
so one person was responsible for giving more mega fights than any other boxer after him.
Right.
Damn, boxing. And it's like it just more people got on the earth. So that's why we sold more pay-per-views, like because
but honestly, like I mean,
it's like, weird.
Like I mean, Oscar's big fights were all like welterweight fights, like pretty much. Like, and it's just like
it's one of the most popular. That just shows you because it's like we didn't get the fights when like all these guys were at their peak fighting each other. Like Floyd and Pacquiao, they didn't get a lot of these fights where the guys came off their best win, but they weren't at their peaks.
Right,
and
like,
there's a difference.
Like Floyd and Pacquiao should have happened in 2010 at